Hello and a warm welcome to episode 3 of this show with Yash Sharma on the AI with Arun show. So, this is the third episode of episode 3. In this episode, we'll focus on how job seekers and professionals can navigate the evolving tech landscape influenced by AI tools. Yash also suggests that job seekers should focus on showcasing end to end solutions and solving real world problems, particularly for young graduates. For everyone else, this episode advises continuous learning and unlearning, critical evaluation of AI results, and developing informed opinions about the tools. And Yash will also ask Yash about the personal AI tools that he uses for various tasks, from coding to household planning. So, Yash, a very warm welcome to the show.
Thank you, Arun. Great to be back.
All right. So, yes, let's get started with leveraging AI tools for job search success. Right. In the past two episodes, we have talked about how AI has changed the tech landscape, how the individual roles have evolved. Now, let's talk specifically about job search. So, how can AI tools help job seekers stand out or find better opportunities in today's highly competitive job market?
Yeah, I think so. As we talked about before, I'd like to bring those things together here, right? Like uh, building a product from 0 to 1 is becoming pretty like straightforward. I think like it's reducing the time and the effort needed to do that, and we are also seeing like the erosion of boundaries between different roles, right? So I would say, as a job seeker, someone who would make my own resume, I should show the same things on my resume as well, right? So instead of just being able to do the framework or write some code, or just saying I know this language or this framework, my resume should say I can build a product using that framework or that language. It should also show some of the my tasks, or like some use of skills from different job roles as well. Like what I mean is, when I build a product, I should be able to act as product manager for a while, and understand what a critical user journey is and how what I'm coding would impact it. So from that perspective, I should be able to showcase those things. I should be able to showcase how to create a good UX without me being, a UX designer. And similarly, I should be able to showcase, how do I put my project on OS and serve it at some domain without knowing DevOps really well, or we are without being a DevOps engineer. So I'm talking from a full stack, front end plus back end engineer's perspective. So I feel from a job seeker's perspective, these are the things which I need to change, or I would change, given today's landscape and the availability of these tools. So it's just a new resume which is coming up. The focus is basically shifting from just knowing X to solving real world problems using that, and showcasing that on your resume is really really important. And not just your resume, right? It's the whole package. So along with resume, you have probably like a GitHub profile, you have actual websites, your portfolio website, which can showcase your skills. So like I just should be able to show that I'm a great engineer. I can think from different perspectives, rather than before, where if I was a front end engineer, hey, all I know is C++, front end frameworks, and front end technologies and languages, and that's pretty much the silo I was in. That I think is not true going forward.
Yeah. So yes, just to double click on that one, if I'm a front-end engineer, going with that example, would it be fair to say that yes, I know all those front-end technologies, but at the same time, I am also understand DevOps, I also understand product management, I also understand the back-end part, and using AI tools, I have done. And here are some examples where I have done this. So is that the way you would advise?
So yes, to an extent. So I feel like, as a front end engineer, if I join a company, my job is still front end engineering. I won't say my job is something different. My job is still engineering. But within engineering, I would say I should be able to do a lot more. And using the AI tools, I should able to at least understand better, or to an extent do the jobs of like dedicated like PMs and project managers, marketing teams. So I should be able to understand that, and it should not be a blocker where oh, this task is something which is done by PM, I cannot move forward. That is where I feel using AI tools you should be able to do more. I think one example we can take is maybe like in 80s or 90s, you had a dedicated role called a database engineer, right? When databases were new. Now I don't think that's the case most backend engineers also know how to create database, operate database, integrate with one, right? So similarly, I think here today, 5, 10 years ago, we had specific roles like like JavaScript engineer or front end engineer, backend and DevOps. I think all those are getting combined because like it's just easier to do those things, and you don't need expertise to do something. Um, just in front end or back end, as long as you understand engineering, as long as you know, you can look at an architecture, understand the pros and cons, look at a code, understand the pros and cons, and find vulnerabilities and loopholes. I think you're pretty good to do that. So that basic skill set is what is important.
Got it. So yes, let's take a look next at as how should I build my resume using an AI tool. So I am a job seeker. I'm looking at certain jobs in a particular company, which is seems like my interest. I understand the job description, understand the company values and culture. I can do research about them using AI tools. But how do I get my CV? I only have certain number of projects, certain number of years of experience. How do I get my CV using an AI tool that aligns with that job description? Because all companies use ATS, application tracking systems today, and if my CV does not make it through the ATS, I am nowhere.
Yeah, I think that's a challenge, and like I feel what's also happening is a lot of these CVs are created just using AI tools without a lot of human input. As we talked about, I might not really own it. I just created something, and then the companies might also be using AI tools to filter out CVs, right? So it's kind of like becoming chaotic that way. But like I would say, of course, like things which you mentioned are still like very important and need to be done. Right? I need to figure out what skill set the company wants, what kind of skills do they mention on the job description which they're looking for, and there should be a good alignment and good overlap. But I would also say, along with that, build your resume as a whole, build your profile as a whole. So have projects which show those skills which are mentioned. Like try to come up with some like pet projects or passion projects which are using or showcasing those. Uh, you can very well identify some similar problem in your life and solve it by creating a solution out there. Maybe I would even go as far as being build such a do such a good job of solving it that you are compelled as a user to use your solution. If you can do that, then there's a high chance you can convince others to use your solution, right? That's how I like to think, and that's how like from an example perspective, I have been developing this financial health app, Plutus. My idea here is it should be so good that I use it to track my financial health, which includes like my expenses and my investments. So if I can use this app and literally I don't have to go to any other app and I'm compelled to use it, that means then I can start convincing others. And through this app, I'm able to show like, hey, I know front end, I know back end, I know DevOps because the app is live on a cloud. Anyone can access it. I'm also a product manager there because I need to understand what to build, how to build. I also build the UX there. So I would suggest similar projects which can really help and really make you stand out, and show that using your AI tools you can like do a lot more with your
Yes.
time. And yeah, along with that, obviously things which you mentioned like resumes and keyword matching and a good overlap between the job description and your resume.
Yes, in terms of the pet project that you spoke about, right? If I'm an experienced professional, I probably have done a lot of that work that the new job requires. For a young professional, for a fresh graduate, what are some of the strategies that you would recommend for them?
Yeah, I think I can understand like even like few years ago when I was just into the industry, I was not in a place to just build something and deploy it within a few days. But I think that is where you can still do that in some sites, right? Maybe you don't have to go all the way of creating a reusable and interchangeable front end with a back end which can scale and put it on a cloud which is available 24/7 with significant SLAs. I think you can still do parts of it and show your your enthusiasm towards engineering. So even for front end engineers, like we have a lot of in our like schools we have these projects, right? Like create some kind of ticketing system for your team, or you have group projects. We often start them, create something, and once the course is over, we leave and move on. So I think there are those opportunities for young graduates or like fresh graduates to use those projects, put them somewhere as a show in a showcase where people can see it. So that is something which you could do. Um, and even for, I think, experienced professional, I do see, like, I have a lot of projects people do have over time, but the opportunity here is to show that how you can integrate these AI tools, or AI or the intelligence into those. So that is also something which I am looking at, um, given I have some projects and I can just make them smarter now and showcase how I can adapt to these LLMs and things.
So, as a job seeker, how can you use AI? I mean, talk to us, our viewers, about some of the best practices that you have seen people use in terms of, resume writing, preparing for interviews, company research, or all of these personal projects that you're speaking about. How can you use AI for all of these?
Yeah, so I think this, like, the practice of, you need to use AI a lot to be able to then use it on projects and be confident, right? So I think first it needs to start with, like, general, like, usage. Like, I would suggest use tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Grok, all of these as much as possible, and get an understanding of what these tools can do, and what these tools can do, like, again and again correctly. So, like, the more you use them, the more you will figure out where, that this is the boundary after which these tools often go wrong. And it's not just these consumer facing tools. I would also say use, like, all these which have LLMs built into it. VS Code has, the GitHub Copilot product built into it. Uh, so, like, increase your awareness and understanding of these tools. I think once that happens, it becomes kind of a second nature when you're working on a project to use them and accelerate and try to do things which we talked about earlier from a resume perspective or pet projects perspective. So I think using them is important, and then people do use them, but like, I have done the same thing, and, like, I talk to a lot of my friends who do the same thing, that they give bias towards one tool, right? I might have a chat GPT subscription, and then that's the only tool which I use. Like, for me, I have a Pixel phone. I work at Google, so I do have, like, a Gemini subscription. So it's often that's the tool which I go on to most. But then I think that is where I feel, the challenge is to use competitors and figure out where the industry is going. It is also, takes a lot of time to figure out, the new features which each tool comes up with every day. But I would say that is how you can increase your understanding of these tools and models and, different products, and be in a better position to then use them for your projects and resumes. And these tools are also morphing in other products. Like, for example, Google Photos has, these tools built in for photo editing. Earlier, you used to actually have to figure out what to change. You need to understand, I need to change the lighting here and the contrast here. Now it's just, as easy as saying, hey, make this photo brighter, or make this photo pop. So it's able to understand. But again, like, these tools are not perfect yet, so you do need to understand how to use them. So, like, what I'm suggesting, in not just from coding perspective, but also in other areas of your life, like, use them as much as possible and get familiar with them.
So that's good, Yash. So we spoke about how we can use AI to improve our own CVs, right? Look at different kinds of projects, showcase them, all the things that we spoke about. Then also do a lot of company research. Let's talk a little bit about the future. How can I use these AI tools to keep myself updated on everything that's going on? So use AI to learn more AI.
Yeah, I think that's the the challenging part, right? First of all, this field is very, very new. It's evolving at, significant rate. Every week you would see a new announcement from OpenAI or Google or Anthropic or someone with new features. In general, I think the industry kind of knows how to create agents now, but the challenge is how to land them, right? As we talked about earlier, how to evaluate the results, how to make sure the results are correct. So I think from a future perspective, I do expect these models to evolve and, become better at answering, reduce hallucinations significantly, become more deterministic. Actually, there is a lot of research going on right now, where I've been reading a lot of the papers which talk about these things. So I think the models will improve. Uh, the things which we talked about earlier, right? The models will become more and more capable of, where we can outsource bigger tasks, and they can do it deterministically. But I don't think it will, reach a level where you can just outsource a whole project. So you still need to know engineering, you still need to know what you are good at or what you are paid for. So I think like creativity and problem solving is still something which we will have to bring on the table as humans, as users, and as engineers. And then these AI tools can do more of it. So again, use not just one tool, but most of them, compare and understand which one works, which one doesn't, and why they don't work. So I would suggest keep doing that. And as we get more and more experience, we'll have to unlearn more things, because these tools evolve and tomorrow they can do things which they could not before. So I might have a mental model of, oh, this is something which does not happen. But tomorrow I'll have to evolve saying, okay, now this is something which the tool can do. And uh, like from a engineering perspective, like I have been in that case where, in that shoe where I often have a hard time to outsource an architecture or design of something to a tool, which again, I lose the sense of accountability and ownership on that. But maybe that needs a different thinking model, that needs a different way of thinking where I should be able to do that and still build out features.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that I've heard a lot from young people, particularly, is that as they are over reliant on AI tools, or generally becoming more over reliant on tools, their parents, in particularly, are thinking about, my child is losing the critical skill, or even younger professionals, they sort of understand that they are not developing the critical skills needed for the job as the way they should, because they're too much reliant on things like basic writing, right? I see an email that's coming in, instead of spending my brain trying to think about response, I just put it in their perplexity. Or but again, as simple as sending an email response, it requires some critical thinking. So,
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you have for professionals so that they don't lose those critical skills and then not become over reliant on technology or AI?
Yeah, I think this is a real challenge, and what you said, it's just not a hypothesis. I think it's proven as well. So there have been studies now, I at least know one study which was done on clinicians, and it proved the de-skilling of clinicians as they become more and more reliant on AI systems for medical tasks, like uh, reading a set of data and then deciding something. So this is a proven fact where if some other system is doing the hard work for you, you often become over reliant on it. And as we as humans really get used to good things like very very quickly. The same thing as you said, right? I might be using AI tool create an email and then send it to you, and then you are using an AI tool to understand and reply. So at what point are these AI tools just talking on behalf of us, and we are completely out of the picture? um, so the other thing, similar examples I see is, I listen to a lot of these tech podcasts, which talk about AI tools available for videography and photography, and there they ask a question of, what is a photo? Is it your or some AI tool's interpretation of what happened, or is it exactly how you saw it with your eyes? So, with these AI tools, reality often becomes uh, muddled as well. I think what has worked for me in terms of this is, I don't, when it is a critical work which I need to do, or when it is an email which I need to read, I think the first thing I do is first think of it as or first try to practice where I don't have the AI tool available, go through the email and understand what is needed, what is the ask, and what I would need to do, and then introduce those tools. So often, that forces me, as we talked about earlier in the episode, it forces me to first think of a response and the constraints there, and the mental model required to do the task. And when the AI tools are added, then it really makes supercharges me to do it quickly, versus just giving it off any task off to AI tool right away, so that I never have the ownership or the mental model or the understanding of the constraints there. So that is something which I think it's again harder said than done. So easier said than done. So it's very easy for me to say that this is the solution, but very difficult to practice it in real life. But I think that is something which we have to practice and get used to, and make sure we are not losing these skills of critical thinking and de-skilling ourselves.
Yes, I like the way you said, right? So, actually, two things for my viewers. One is we have to practice, because it's very easy to get distracted and actually use an AI tool. The availability is so easy these days. So we really have to make that extra effort to do that. And two, earlier you had mentioned that you have a skeleton in mind, and then you actually use the AI tools to come in between and fill those skeleton, right? But at least you own the skeleton, you understand what the skeleton looks like. And that I think is a great insight for the viewers on the AI with Arun show that have the skeleton in mind, be it a simple email, be it a very complicated project that you're building, have the skeleton in mind and use AI in between.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think as I am also growing in my career, I find it hard to outsource something to someone else. Like being an engineer, my first intuition is, oh, let me just code it, right? I'll do it for you, so that I know it, I understand it, and then I feel more comfortable. So as we do more and more of outsourcing it, we also need to like make sure we still have the skills to like we still understand the skeleton. Maybe parts of it, like as they say, you create the skeleton and the muscles can be added by the AI tools and then becomes a functioning body. So I think yeah, that's difficult, but yeah, that is something which we can do. If we can do it, then it'll be we can really take advantage of these tools.
Yeah. No, we have to consciously start practicing. Yash, any last thoughts for job seekers in particular, both experienced and fresh graduates coming out of school?
I think the biggest skill here is, I think we also talked about this in the first episode. Like the biggest fear here is getting, replaced by someone who can use the AI tools better than you, and not by the AI tools itself, right? So I feel like as long as we keep using them and upskilling ourselves and keep doing more and more with less resources, I think this is an exciting place to be. Like these AI tools are really enabling us to do things which we could not do before. So I'm like careful yet optimist, but I'm pretty excited about what the future will be and how these AI tools are coming in.
Excellent. Yash, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with the viewers.
Thank you so much, Arun. It was great talking and discussing these things with you.
Thank you.